Well, the brown wave just doesn't seem to be letting up. Of course, in all actuality, it's not going to let up for a good 4 years, no matter who wins. I've been saying that well before Election Day came. But I think it's just the constant bombardment of this particular ripple, of this particular tide that we're getting hit with right now. That is what's so bad. And what I'm referring to is this ongoing election process that is just an absolute disaster. I made a video yesterday talking about Trump's path to victory. Not very much of one, but it's there. The lead in Georgia narrowing. The lead in North Carolina still and the lead in Pennsylvania I think he might be able to hang on to him. Obviously, he's going to take Alaska, but they must be frozen in the winter up there or something because they're not moving at all. And speaking of barely moving at all, for God's sakes, Nevada, as we say in the South, is moving slow as molasses as well. Here's what's been standing out to me. And this is something that right-wing YouTubers like the conservative twins have started talking about, and being as how I like to listen to a lot of people's points of view, if it's not true, there's at least a good enough argument to make you have some doubt about these states and their election processes. And before anyone goes, "Oh, how dare you question how states handle their election processes. We have a free country. We have secure elections." Really? So that's why the Democrats were able to rig a primary? That's why they could screw up coin tosses to give delegates to the chosen candidate? Okay, sure. We have great election integrity. I promise you. We've done enough damage to our own elections, and we didn't need any help from any other, nations. Careful what you say, because, censorship and all that. Whatever. So, the argument is, why did these states not count mail-in ballots? One, as they were coming in, go ahead and get an early count, go ahead and get an early start on everything. Or at least count them and be required to have them counted by election night or something, since it was supposed to replace voting on election day anyway. Right? Like, I know there's always been the absentee ballot, but it's never been done to this degree. So why are you going to be allowed to try to turn in these votes and all this time later? And now there's a Republican lawsuit where a poll watcher claims that he saw votes who came in, mail-in ballots past the deadline, get mixed in with ballots before the deadline, with the implication being these votes were not supposed to be counted, and yet they're being counted anyway, and all of a sudden, these more and more and more and more votes for Biden are coming out at the same time now, right? So the implication being is that it's almost like you waited until you saw what number Trump reached in these battleground states, and then sat back and said, okay, now that we know what he's got, we know exactly how many mail-in ballots there need to be. That's what the argument right now is. Now, again, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But the fact that you're getting these ballots earlier, I don't think all of these hundreds of thousands of ballots came on November 3rd. I mean, people could have been getting this crap for weeks. And other states were counting them. Good example of that, Florida. Why didn't other states do it this way? Again, to add to the conspiracy theory here, they're states that are mostly controlled by who and which party has been known to tamper with the election process. Not to say the Republicans haven't. Sure they have. I made a video yesterday talking about how they might be using the court system to throw out ballots or whatever, or attempt to, right? But honestly, even without, I don't know about throwing ballots out at this point, but I could fully see why they might want to just, for some of these states say, but if they do, of course, then Joe Biden's going to win. So that's why they want to go back to what it looked like on election night, probably at midnight or by, say, 3 or 4 a.m. and go cut it the hell off. I don't know. But that being said, that's the whole challenge, okay, to what's going on in these elections. And honestly, the fact that it is taking this long does raise a few eyebrows. Now, I've already eaten up 6 whole minutes, but I want to talk about something else. So I'm going to try to make this one a little more quick, and I'm going to go in detail, but I'm not going to try to take too long. I said yesterday in a video that I wanted to talk about what is going to happen after all this. Assuming Trump, and by the way, apparently Arizona's back in play now too. So if of course there's a smaller gap to close in Nevada than there is in Arizona, but if somehow Trump takes either one and maintains the others, he's won. That being said, pretend it doesn't happen. We'll say Joe Biden wins. What is going to happen? Well, I'll go more in depth on what each president's going to potentially look like after we know the election and who has won. But guess what? Nothing really that good. I just literally heard NBC News this morning because I was keeping track of what's going on. NBC News was talking about how Joe Biden is much more friendly to free trade, and Donald Trump pushed against it, that it was Joe Biden who was the vice president when Obama wanted to push the TPP, which Trump scrapped. That's what NBC said. So what does that mean? NBC's reporting that Joe Biden is going to push for more deals as far as our trade goes that are going to cost more middle-class American jobs. Swell. More black eyes for my kind of people. That's exactly what I wanted to see. But that aside, I'm just going to cut to the chase. What's going to happen? Aside from the giant elephant in the room that we are so divided as a nation, and Joe Biden is not going to heal that division, especially with the way this election went. Like, if this election, without all the mail-in ballot and the accusation of stealing and all, if this had just been on election night, boom, Biden got it. Okay, people would be pissed. But if Joe Biden were to take office, which, and for God's sakes, don't I know, this is dreaming right here. I mean, this is fairy tale crap. But if Joe Biden had taken office and just did the right thing for the American people and respected them and tried to heal our country, like Tulsi said that he could or whatever, let's just say Joe did all that. We could be looking at an entirely different thing right now. An entirely different country. But the way it played out, people are going to be pissed. If he wins, the right wing will be pissed. If it looks like he was going to win, and with Trump's lawsuits, if it's reversed or not reversed or what the hell ever, left-wingers are going to be pissed that Trump got reelected, and we're teetering on the verge of civil war. I've been saying it for months. My opinion has only gotten stronger. We are dangerously close to turmoil and civil war in this country amongst our neighbors, literally. And It's scary. But if that doesn't happen, or even if it does and then it settles back down or whatever, understand for all of the people who hate Donald Trump, if the Republican Party still exists, you're going to get another one. You're going to get another one. The Republican Party know what their biggest weapon is against the Democrat Party now. And it ain't the candidate who's just going out there and arguing about reining in the debt and all that. A lot of people have long forgotten the debt. Okay? Not many people focus on it at this point in time. Okay? I mean, a lot of people focused on it for years, especially after Ross Perot really brought up the deficit and all that. But guess what? It's long since Trump took office, really not been a focal point of very much. So they want the candidate who's going to be brash, who's going to call everything out and run as the outsider. And I got news for you, people. You elect this establishment joke, and there will be, remember, I said the right-wingers will be pissed, right? They'll take to the streets. There will be a groundswell of pissed off, blue-collar, right-wing folks who, as I said months ago, are going to feel that they've got unfinished business, that the election was stolen from the working man's president. That's what they're going to think. And they will have unfinished business. And the policies you're going to get from a Joe Biden, Kamala Harris are going to be a bunch of milquetoast, center of the road, fat and healthy for the corporate donors, while slim little crumbs for middle class, lower class America. Matter of fact, probably not even all of them will get the crumbs. They'll just end up starving to death. They'll put more people out of their homes. They'll cost more jobs. They'll ruin more lives. They will. They'll cause more division. They'll create more turmoil. They will sow more seeds for this violence against law enforcement, which in turn... See, that's what's so funny about Joe Biden wanting to fund police more, is the way they treat these situations where they immediately jump to the position of attack the cop. They sow this hatred of law enforcement while giving them more money to beef up their arms. Gee, it's almost as if they want people to try to piss off cops and back them into a situation where they pull the damn trigger. Maybe it's because that's one of the only damn things Democrats have to run on, is playing the cultural issue. Who would fucking think that someone would actually want that to happen? But kind of fucking seems that way when you want to give police more money to amp up their fucking gear, but then throw them under the bus the first time they pull the trigger on something, right? Who else hasn't noticed that unique little part there? Because even I, until recently, hadn't really thought about it that way. But I've not heard anyone else bring it up. So that's what the Democrat Party's going to run on. Period. And they're going to cause more problems. And guess what? All that excited base who just hated Donald Trump and they turned out to vote Trump out because, Biden got more votes than any other president now, right? They're not going to be so enthused. Why? Because they got screwed. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris screwed them over. And then they're going to be walking around moping real sad. We didn't get our health care. Things didn't get better. The wars didn't end. Meanwhile, that outsider I was talking about in the Republican Party, Don Jr., but Don Jr. I think would be a little obvious. Little obvious. But it's definitely going to be someone Ted Cruz-ish, possibly someone from the NRA, someone Ted Nugent-ish, not to say that his name's going to be Ted, I don't know. But it's going to be someone from that way. And they're going to have to be pretty brazen. Like, it could even be someone like a damn Louis Gohmert or something, right? I don't know. I'm just spitting a couple of wild names out there. Someone with a mouth and that kind of fiery attitude is going to show up. They're going to run. They're going to pitch that outsider. Yeah, all those people that had the unfinished business, they'll vote for him. And you know what? A lot of swing voters who want the outsider, because apparently Americans are about as forgetful as Dory the fish. That's why they elect Republicans, and then Republicans piss them off, and they go back and elect Democrats. Then the Democrats don't do shit, and then the Republican gets back into office again. And it's constantly this swinging cycle going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's like you can't fucking remember what you got before you elected these people. Like, look, you just elected Democrats, and they pissed you off. So you're going to go elect the Republican again. Oh, they fucking pissed you off before the Democrats pissed you off. None of these fuckers are making you happy. Why the fuck are you still voting for them? But they do. They do. They just keep on. They just keep on. And honestly, I don't understand it, but I don't think like I think most of the country thinks either, because they don't focus enough on politics as much as I do. That being said, Jesse Ventura brought that point up years ago, that they just keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So they'll go vote for whoever this Republican candidate is. That outsider will get it. And if it ain't in 2024, it's going to happen. Just understand, at some point down the line, it'll happen again. Okay? They'll take office, and here's what I'm afraid of. Like I've said in the past, that they're from the South. Now, how much racist stuff have they said about the New Yorker? Wait till they sound a little more like me in the voice department. Wait until they have a twang to their voice. Wait until they sound like, what's the word I'm looking for here? A redneck. And then they hit that populist message combined with some of the controversial stuff Trump was saying or whatever, and they're defending the police over the black person or the brown person or whatever. Okay? Wait until that happens. Oh, that racism shit will get cranked up real big. Real big. The media is going to fuel it. The Democrats are going to bitch about it. The woke liberal base is going to say our country is even more racist. Now we're literally electing a Klansman. If this isn't enough what we're doing right now to get us into civil war, how much farther do you think we can travel down this road before we end up there? Seriously. How much farther do you think this country can take it? I mean, they always love to say, look, we're a tough country. Americans are tough. How fucking tough can you be? Eventually, society is going to crumble if we keep going down this path. You'll wind up with another Donald Trump as long as you keep electing people like Joe Biden, except 2.0 could be a lot worse than 1.0. And what the fuck's your solution when 2.0 pisses you off? Elect another fucking Clinton or Joe Biden? Wow. And then if you can survive that, you'll end up with a 3.0. And they could be even worse. Sooner or later, the country's going to crack. There's no way around it. Period. So, better wisen up quickly before this whole country is just toast.